Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this PC3 Sports exclusive interview with Austin Peterson, a professional minor league baseball pitcher. I'm Vincent here with Luke Powers, Henry Sirkowski, Brody Cosierra, Jonny Clumpy, and Devon Osman. Now, my first question for Austin, I've always kind of wondered, what does your typical start day look like?
For the most part, I mean, it's pretty dependent on, like what time the game is, but for the most part we play, 6 to 7 o'clock, I would say. That's probably, a good time for the start of the game. So, I mean, I probably wake up honestly around like 11, 12 o'clock. Make sure I get some good rest in the night before. Usually get up, get a coffee. I don't eat too much on my start days, so I just kind of, roll into the field, wait till about, 2.5 hours before the game, kind of start like getting in the hot tubs, cold tubs, getting the body ready, do my rollout routine on the foam roller, lacrosse ball, get a lot of band work in, get the hips feeling right, and then for the most part, just kind of get out there, get tossed. I don't try to overthink things too much, and try and do too much. I just try and stay relaxed on game day, treat it like any other day. So,
Gotcha. All right.
I'm just gonna work off of what Vincent said. I know you had an injury earlier this year when you were pitching against the Dodgers, but talking about your pregame process, what is like the injury process like? Is it like what has to take place for a pitcher to come back fully healthy?
Yeah, it's a lot of patience. You gotta have patience, that's for sure. I mean, that whole process was just, it was, 2 weeks of literally doing nothing. And I mean, being a professional athlete, like you want to be able to get better every single day, like in some regard, I would say. But it was like, hey, can I go ride the bike today? And it was like, no, like you can't do anything. And so, it was just kind of 2 weeks of that. And then, when you're rehabbing, they have a very extensive plan for you, you know, as soon as you get there, kind of like a warm up in the training room, and then you go and do whatever you got to do, and then you come back, and it's probably another hour in there. So I would say, you're in the training room for 2 to 3 hours a day, really honing in on that specific injury, but also like for me, like I had a tricep injury. But when you take that time off, you got to also take the time to strengthen everything else, like your forearm muscles, your shoulder muscles, so that when you do get back throwing, that stuff doesn't labor as well. So there's a lot that goes into it, and like I said, you got to be patient with it because obviously you want to be out on the field, out helping the team, competing. But I think if you try and rush it, obviously you're going to get hurt again. So you just got to be patient with it.
Just around the league, we kind of hear the Guardians are just one of the best teams at developing pitching and stuff. And obviously, this is the only MLB team you've been part of so far. But do you kind of see that process? Like, what have the Guardians helped you improve upon and change, but based off from college to pros?
Yeah, I mean, we that's a great question. We have so many analytics in the Cleveland system. I think that that's a big part of it. So, it's in terms of like pitch development and arsenal, like overall arsenal development, and seeing when you can throw these pitches and where you can throw these pitches and find success. I think that's something that Cleveland does a really good job of. Um, and yeah, like you said, this is my only organization, so I haven't really seen other ones, but for the most part, like I have a couple buddies that have been around to other organizations, and it's like, whoa, like Cleveland kind of has, way more than any other organization gives us, and especially in terms of like the data and stuff like that. I think that's overall the biggest piece. And then, I think the minds that they bring in on the pitching development side and the coaching is just, they're very, very picky about it. They're not just going to bring in anybody. I think if you're going to get hired by this organization, you kind of have to have something that stands out in the way that you have developed guys in the past, and you would be able to do that with them as well.
Kind of just building off of that as well with I'm looking at your fan graphs, kind of your pitch usage. This season, you're throwing the sinker a lot more, about 17% more, decrease the fastball usage. Is that Cleveland Guardians' decision? Is that your decision? Like, kind of what came into throwing the sinker a lot more and the slider a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of both. When I actually left college and entered into pro ball, I did have a sinker. And then it was kind of like hey, let's get rid of that and just throw the four seam and see if we can throw that harder. Because that was my biggest thing was like when I entered pro ball, I was like 89 to 91. I wasn't a flamethrower by any means, but I was really able to like pitch. Um, so in order to kind of put more power on it, it was just like, hey, let's focus on this one variation of a fastball and throw that harder. And then last year they were like, hey, like the game's kind of transforming back into, pitching moving like pitches moving east west and a lot less like vertical movement and depth and stuff like that. Like so they're like, all right, like let's bring that back. And my feel for it just kind of came back as good as it was in college. And then kind of once I'm able to use those, especially on like the outside edge to right-handed hitters, where it's kind of like it looks like it's coming back into them. Like you said, my slider usage is able to kind of go up with that because then I kind of throw a slider that's starting two balls in off of that, but it's going to end way off the plate. Like those are pitches that I'll probably get a swing and miss on now because just the tunneling of the two seam and then the slider together are have been a lot better. So
baseball is a really superstition based sport. And what's your favorite like game day ritual that you have to do before the game starts?
I like to listen to Dembo. It's like a Dominican very like upbeat music. It like no English at all, but I love it. Really gets the heart rate going, and that's probably like gets you in a good mood. I think like it's fun seeing all like my Latin teammates kind of get hyped up when they see a big goofy white dude dancing before a start day. So I think that's probably one of my biggest ones. I think it brings energy to the clubhouse and then gives me energy to go out on the mound. Kind of lets me, get loose a little bit and not have to like overthink everything about just going out and pitching. Like just have a little bit of fun too. So I'd say that's probably my biggest one.
And then who's like your biggest inspiration or hero in the sport of baseball?
I mean, I would say that was hard. Um, I think that I mean, obviously I have two brothers, like they've been big on my impact, but I feel like that's kind of, the boring answer, the non-professional like not a professional athlete hero, but um I've always kind of looked up to Justin Verlander too. I think that he's kind of like the sports hero, I would say. Just because I feel like the way that he's kind of always pitched and um, kind of like increased his velocity as he's gone into games and stuff like that, and is able to, I mean, obviously do what he's been able to do for as long as he has. I think that's really cool, and obviously a goal of mine to pitch until I'm over 40 as well. So I would say probably him.
Austin, you mentioned it, how you have two older brothers. So I just want to ask, like, how competitive was your household when you guys were kids and playing baseball? Like, was there a lot of pushing each other to get you guys constantly trying to get better, or what was that like?
You might have to ask my mom this question. But she, I mean, I would say like, my brothers were 9 and 7 years older than me. So I was a little bit on the shorter side of that. And, me and my older brother, he was kind of like my protector. I didn't really have to like, we weren't that competitive, but my middle brother and I, we were always kind of like going at it. I mean, I remember playing wiffle ball with him when I was like, he would make me go out in the yard when I was like 8 years old and he was 15 and just absolutely killing me. And I'm just like crying, like this is the worst thing ever. But, at the end of the day, I think that obviously helped me become a better baseball player. And, especially on the competitive side. Like I hate losing, maybe, and it's probably because of the way my brother talked to me when he would beat me and stuff like that. But yeah, it was definitely had a big impact on the career overall.
Hi, Austin. So one of my questions I have, first off, I'm going to say that you and I are pretty different. You know, you're a professional baseball player. I got cut from my 8th grade basketball team. But I'd like to ask, like, what is the biggest challenge you had to overcome to get where you are today? Because there's probably a lot of factors that I don't even think about because I didn't get that far. And like, you know, you went through college and it's just what's the biggest challenge do you think that you had to go through that you overcame to get to where you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think that it was probably like after my freshman year. I would say overall it was deciding, whether or not I even wanted to play professional baseball or whether or not like I was good enough. I think that was like I played in high school a lot with like a lot of guys that I felt like I was up there with, and they got drafted and I wasn't even getting called by like any scouts, like no interviews, nothing. And it's like it's exhausting, it's like what do I got to do, and then um I would say like the biggest decision was, after my freshman year, I like, when I was at Purdue, we weren't the best team. Didn't exactly, it wasn't exactly the best fit for me personally. Like team wise, coach wise, I was getting, good playing time there. And it was kind of like, look, like if I care about my baseball career, like I probably got to get out of here. Cause this, like, if not, I feel like I'm just gonna, like I was like switching my major around there. Like, what do I actually want to do in life if baseball doesn't work out? Because it just didn't seem like it was going to go that way. Um, so obviously to, leave a school like Purdue that's an hour and a half away from home, like it's really close, and just be like, all right, I got to get out of here, and then end up on the East Coast at UConn is, it was a big change. I would say that kind of step and leap of faith for me was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do, but ultimately the best thing I've ever done. So,
And I have another question. I'm not going to tell you to pick favorites, but who has been one of your favorite players or coaches that you have played with or played for that has helped you become the baseball player that you are today?
I would say, throughout pro ball, it's been probably Parker Messick. He's a rookie pitcher with the Guards right now. And he's been throwing, really well. But we were drafted the same year, kind of played in every level together. And so we were just kind of able to feed off of each other, push each other, and, ultimately get each other better. And so I think that was, he's probably been the biggest impact for me in pro ball, like teammate wise, just great guy overall. Off the field, we really get along. It's not always baseball that we're talking about. It's a lot of family, faith, that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback off his question. Did you have like a particular coach or a place where you just improved the most, or was it more of like taking a lot of factors from different places throughout your development?
I think that it's ultimately just been like overall just kind of everybody. I think the best word of advice I ever got from a coach was when I was probably 14 years old. And he told me, like you are the one that has to be your own best pitching coach at the end of the day. Like you, like at the time I was 14, like I said, and he was like, you want to go play college baseball? He's like, you're going to have your brothers telling you what to do, your dad telling you what to do, your high school baseball coach, your travel baseball coach, and then you're going to go to college and you're going to have your head coach and your pitching coach. And then you're going to play in summer ball and you're going to have your summer ball pitching coach. And he's like, you're going to be getting all these different opinions. And ultimately at the end of the day, like you have to do what works for you. And it's okay to try things and fail and be like, all right, that doesn't work for me, but at least I tried it and I got some type of feedback from it. But yeah, you kind of have to be your own best coach. So.
Well, I was gonna try and find a way to transition into the next question with summer ball, but you already brought it up. Like coaches, a lot of the times they send their players for summer ball to get more reps that they didn't get to see in the season. But a lot of times you're sent to like a new team. Is there anyone that you ever met on summer ball or a coach that like really made like the summer memorable or really helped you out to not feel like you're the only one there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was actually like I played summer ball 2 times in my college career. Like it took a couple summers off to just kind of train and get better. But I was actually, I was really blessed with the spots that I got to go to. Like one was in Martha's Vineyard on the East Coast, and those coaches there were kind of, they were all young guys, and it just kind of changed the game. Just go out there and have fun. And then I played the COVID summer in Virginia, and that was kind of the first time where like I had coaches be like, dude, like you can be a professional baseball player, and like actually tell me that. So I would say that, those guys were definitely impactful and kind of let me develop into who I am and just be comfortable out there.
Earlier, Austin, you talked about how like Verlander is kind of your pitching guy, but we were looking at your Purdue like bio, and it mentioned a player you wanted to face at that time is 2019, 2020 was Aaron Judge. And this was before he set the AL home run record and won MVPs and stuff. So is he still the guy you want to face, or is there a different guy you want to face in the pros?
I mean, I would love to face Judge. I think that would be unbelievable. I mean, but any of those guys at the end of the day, like I can't be up there and be like, oh my gosh, I'm facing Aaron Judge right now. Like it's got to be, I'm about to strike Aaron Judge out. Like that's kind of, and I don't even want to say it like that, because it's like then you're still giving emphasis to who's in the box, and I don't really like to do that. I like to just be like, it's me versus a hitter, and I don't really care who it is. So, but yeah, I mean, I think facing Judge, facing Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, like any of those guys, like that would obviously be really cool. Having grown up watching them, and so yeah.
Man, the closest form for like me being able to face these guys is playing like MLB The Show, kind of like
Yeah.
yesterday. I 1v1 one of the other guys that is doing the interview as well, Jonny, and I started you actually against him. Got the win against him. Got one shutout inning out of you, but it was cool to be able to play and see. What's your thought of being in a video game, like one of the big video games for sports?
Yeah, I mean, I always played The Show growing up, or MLB 2K or something like that. Like, and that's, you always dream of it. You're like, you literally, like, that's one of the biggest aspects of those games is like you get to create your own guy and do your road to the show, and to like actually do that in real life. And then now, like, I'm in the video game, like it's, it's really cool. And, I'm excited, and I'm excited for that. And I mean, it's been, I've had a few buddies text me and be like, dude, I just bought your card. And I'm like, oh, nice. How much? Solid 5 stubs or something like that. Like but hopefully we increase that value over time. So.
Austin, so as you know, Cubs pitching staff has been really injured this year. And I was just wondering, have you ever considered joining the Cubs?
Yeah, I mean, that would be really cool for sure. I mean, definitely Wrigley Fields is a sick place right now. I mean, we're out in Iowa playing the AAA Cubs right now. So, yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just have to flip-flop dugouts here at some point and get a little trade, but we'll see. That'd be cool, but obviously wherever you're playing in the big leagues is good. So, unless it's the White Sox, but we'll see.
But yeah, and then we were talking about the show. I was looking that you can look at who has a real 99, and I was trying, and I didn't see you on that list. Do you not have MLB The Show 26 right now?
I have it. I haven't like downloaded it yet. I honestly don't play too many video games. I play the Switch mostly. So if I'm gonna have it, it'll probably be on the Switch. I don't have like a PS5 or anything like that. But yeah, no, I haven't downloaded it or anything yet, because I mean, I was kind of traveling around, just getting out to Columbus when the game dropped anyway. So
Yeah.
haven't really had time to get into it. But yeah, I mean, I'll definitely get my real 99 at some point. But yeah.
Yeah, I wish you best of luck in your career, and I hope you're able to get call up hopefully sometime. Or like Luke mentioned, the Cubs, they do have a bunch of injuries. Maybe trade deadline, because we I believe most of us here are all Cubs fans as we live in Valpo and stuff. So we all root for the Cubs and stuff. So it'll be really cool to be able to root for you. But you face the Iowa Cubs tomorrow. You start, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Facing Jordan Wicks kind of tomorrow. Kind of how much film do you watch before your starts?
Honestly, I try not to do anything. Like our catchers do such a good in-depth dive of everything, which just makes it a lot easier for me to go out and just shake my head yes and throw that pitch that they're calling and kind of use my eyes. Like that's kind of how I am as a pitcher. I don't like to dive into the film so much just because I feel like hitters are gonna change their approach based on who you are. So I think that they're constantly changing, so there's no point for me to be super, super consistent with what I'm going to do. I like to mix it up. And so just kind of go out there and let my eyes work for me, let the catcher work, and just kind of trust that. So
you don't really use PitchCom, really? You let the catcher call it?
we do use, they use PitchCom. We just have like a little thing in our hat that kind of tells us like, hey, this is the pitch that's coming. But I don't have one like on my glove or anything like that. I don't call my own game. No, the catchers will do that. I think that's kind of reserved for the Max Scherzers and Justin Verlander, those veteran guys that kind of have been doing it for a while. They'll call their own games, but I'd say 95% of guys probably just get it from the catcher. So.
All right, before we kind of send it off, I got one more question. What's your tempo kind of like when you're on the mound out there?
I've been told that I pitch like my hair's on fire. That's kind of I really like to get it going. I think that, I heard a quote that Greg Maddux had when he was pitching but someone was like, why do you pitch so fast? And he's like, I got a freaking tee time. He's like, I got a tee time. I got to get out of here. So like, it's kind of like, that's kind of the mindset that I pitch with is like, some people got things they want to go do and have fun. And so let's get a win and get out of here as fast as possible and go start celebrating. So that's I just like to get in and out quick, get out of the inning as fast as possible, and let our hitters go hit. So.
All right. Yeah, I gotcha. By the way, your mom, Mrs. Peterson, she brought us this card, autographed by you.
Awesome.
So I just figured I'd show that. And I guess once again, just thank you so much for coming on here. That's all I got. I think that's all they got as well. Is there anywhere we could find you on social media to follow your career?
I do not do social media, honestly. I am very anti. I call it brain rot. Maybe I sound like an old head, but I don't know. I'd rather just kind of like go outside and walk around and kind of enjoy it. I feel like social media, especially as a professional athlete, gets kind of, very rampant. You kind of go on there and see the bad things that are said about you and you're just like, I'm done with this. So yeah, I unfortunately do not do any social media, but yeah.
All right. Well, once again, thank you so much for watching, or thank you so much for joining us for the interview. And thank you to everyone for watching this exclusive PC3 Sports interview with Austin Peterson.